to preserve the lives.
Hello.
So I think that we have to
I
use
just finished. I'm actually watching Zelensky, Mr. Zelensky,
have the possibility of
on a
negotiating,
CNN
possibility of talking to
interview,
Putin.
saying he's losing
If these
people
attempts fail,
every day
that would mean
at a rate that it's like, he's now depressed. He's now actually, he doesn't. I'm looking at him in the interview. His physical appearance looks fatigued. He's not looking like he feels like going outside and doing any more shows from outside, or doing any more asking, for help from. He's asked all the countries now. But the point is, dear Mr. General Austin of the United States, dear Mr. NATO leader Stoltenberg, weren't you the people that were supporting him to take this stand? Weren't you the people that were telling him ask for NATO membership? Weren't you the people who were saying, let us host nuclear weapons in your country? Mr. United States, Mr. NATO, Mr. Department of Defense, Mr. U.S. Generals, Mr. U.S. Senators, Mr. Biden even? Aren't you the people who go around Europe talking to them, telling them to stand up against other countries? Aren't you the people who tell the Iranian protesters to protest every year? Mr. Netanyahu, Mr. Whoever else is in Israel? Aren't you guys the people that have all these people in Ukraine and Iran? Aren't you guys the people who have these people to ask these people for like the last 20 years under the guise of fighting terrorism and under the guise of fighting communism, under the guise of fighting Russia? Aren't you the people who keep telling these people to go protest every year? And we do it. The Iranians have done it for the last 10 years, at least. And every time you lose thousands of people to their own government, which you still which you still try to hurry Biden in and make deals with, instead of supporting regime change. Where are you now to support the Ukrainian people? Where are you now? Do not ask the United States for help. I've asked the United States for help for 20 years to get rid of the Iranian regime. I've done more than enough videos on social media. I've seen more than enough protests and counter attacks of the protests in Iran, and I've seen more than enough innocent people get killed. And now I'm watching another stupid, useless, senseless killing of people who can't protect themselves, all because the United States and the Western allies of NATO encourage them to stand up and protest against Russia and Iran, which are the two countries that are abusing people's basic rights inside of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Not that Ukraine, because Ukraine was I have nothing to do with Ukraine. I only have a little bit to do with the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Iranian people, because those are my people and that's where I'm from. And they truly didn't have any freedom. They truly don't have any freedom. They haven't had freedom since 1979. And our people have asked our own people to protest and shed blood to try and overthrow this regime, which you all say you would support getting rid of because of its terrorism and because of its other things. And support for us has never been there. Support for the protesters, it was never there. It wasn't there during Bush. It wasn't there during Obama. It wasn't there during Clinton. It wasn't there during Trump. And it wasn't there during Netanyahu. And all those people always encouraged us to make videos telling our people to protest. They always sent flyers telling our people to protest. And you still haven't supported any of them. I'm calling on all Hollywood stars to stop doing business. I'm calling on all businesses in America to stop doing business until your government backs up the words and actions that it tells innocent people in other places to do when it comes to sacrificing their lives for what they call freedoms, which actually I'm sure that the United States has less less of than Ukraine had, or that Russia has, or that Germany has, or that France has. Because the United States is not a free country. It's a very corrupt dictatorship. It's a Nazi entity. And I feel sorry for Mr. Zelensky, because truly the NATO leaders, the US generals, are Nazi troops. They are Hitler's kids, and they are Hitler's. They do act like Hitler. They acted like Hitler in Iraq. They acted like Hitler in Afghanistan, and they shouldn't be trusted. And nobody should actually support them for any wars anymore. And they definitely shouldn't listen to the leaders of the United States saying that the people of other countries should protest and ask for freedom, because that country never supports any of it. And if it does, it only comes with they only support people protesting so they can bully countries with their armed forces. They don't actually have any idea what it means to have a cultural exchange, a cultural freedom. And in some places, you know what, cultural freedom and all that stuff won't exist, because you have regimes like the Islamic Republic of Iran, which absolutely don't agree with any normal behavior. But you haven't supported the Iranian protesters once with military action, so there's no reason for anyone in the whole world to side with the United States anymore either, as you're not showing support for people in Ukraine right now either. And you got them into that situation too. America gets all these countries into that situation and doesn't do anything to help them get out of that situation.